So now we're going to talk about the basics of loading a shotgun, stationary loading. So the gun's held in nice and firm, my hand comes off and I can control it there. And what I'm looking for is that when I'm doing the stationary reload, the gun doesn't move. Everything else moves around it. So we have the 4 points of contact. Your face on top, the pad and shoulder pulling, and the gun being pulled back into you. Your ring finger pushing up onto the bottom of the trigger guard, and the palm or the heel of your hand pushing down on that palm rest. And that helps to even out the load between any one thing there. So that's the 4 points of contact. So the first part of the reload is to dump the old magazine. So we're up on aim and we're shooting, and there is a temptation to take your left hand off of the gun and then push the mag release. And I did this technique for a while, but there's mechanically some challenges to that. When you go one-handed, as we just discussed with 4 points of contact, you're taking all of the weight of the gun through one arm. All right, you're trying to get rid of some of it through your face, holding it down, some of it through the grip on here, but basically you're holding the whole weight of the gun with one hand. Now, as you're holding it with one hand and you're pushing up with that ring finger and you're pushing down with the heel, and now you're going to try and push it this way. It's very difficult because that hand is overstressed, it's overtaxed. And that problem of that hand doing too much led to 2 instances where I had NDs, negative discharges, where I fired a shot when I didn't want to fire a shot. And what happened was I was one-handed, it was wet, it was raining, and my finger slipped off of the trigger, off the button, and onto the trigger and fired the gun. And that's not a position that we want to be in. So the solution was very simple. And the solution is that you're shooting at your targets, and when you shoot the last target, you drop the magazine while your left hand is still on the gun. This allows your left hand to control pushing back that way, and it makes it very easy. And the other thing about pushing it there then is this hand is not carrying the whole weight of the gun. Okay, it's only got light weight on it, pulling back slightly, but basically the left hand has got all of the weight. So you're firing, push it, and then your hand comes away. And that's a very important thing to do. You see a lot of beginners, and they're struggling with the weight, they don't have the 4 points of contact, and then they come to do it, and they're shaking the gun and they're rattling in it and they've got to drop it down. Okay, there's no need for that. You're shooting targets, bang, 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 drop the magazine straight away before your left hand comes off, then your left hand goes into the reload. Okay, so we're building this up now. So we've got 4 points of contact, we've got the mag release before you remove the left hand, then the left hand moves. Okay, so now let's look at the left hand. So we're shooting at targets, we drop the magazine, okay, you've seen that before. The left hand comes off of the gun, we've still got our 4 points of contact, and we drop down, pull back the magazine out of the mag holder, and then take the shortest route forward. Now we have to turn the gun, turn the magazine, and then we insert it. After insertion, the hand comes up, slides along the fore-end, and we re-engage. So we go over that a couple of times. So we're shooting, we drop the magazine, left hand drops down. We know where that magazine is going to be because we've located it at our belly button. We know that we're going to grab it in the right place because our index finger is going to touch the top of the magazine holder, and our finger is going to wrap around the middle of the magazine. They're going to wrap around the middle of the magazine. They're going to pull back just enough to get it out of the mag holder, twist, and insert straight up and remount the gun. Okay, so we have the same thing in each position, just with a slightly different angle that it's coming into the gun. So we go to the mid-thigh position here, we're shooting, we drop the magazine, come down to our mid-thigh, up and in. Now as we come up to the gun with the magazine, you need to have a look down into the mag well. You don't really need to look down at your belt because you know where the stuff is. Belly button, thigh, hip, yeah, it's all very, very easy. But as it's coming up, it does help to look the magazine into the gun. So at the very last minute you can see where it's going and you can see it going. As it goes in and you can feel it clicking in, your eyes are back to the target. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so we're mid-thigh here, shooting the targets, drop the magazine, mid-thigh, pull it back, put it in, back up, and we're shooting. Now through all of this, the rest of your body doesn't want to be doing very much. Okay, if you start moving your head, your shoulders, your legs, your body, everything moving around, to shoot the next target, you have to get them all back into the right place. And that wastes time. So we're shooting targets, we shot the last one, magazine, okay, and then we're back on and we're shooting again. And nothing really should move. Now if you look at my head and you compare it to the garage door behind me, so we're shooting targets, bang, 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 magazine, and we're away. Now I won't know until I watch the video playback whether it moved or not, but we're trying not to move it. It's what I call the principle of minimum disruption, okay? When you've got to do something else, when you've got to move, when you've got to shoot something, when you're dealing with recoil, when you're reloading the gun, the minimum amount of disruption that you can cause to your body and your shooting stance, the better, because you've got to get back onto that shooting stance to shoot another target. You don't want to make extra work for yourself, so that's what it's all about. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about is knowing when the mag has been inserted correctly. Okay, so you're going to do some practice, and you'll practice all the things that I've said before: shooting targets, press the mag release, grab, draw, locate, and get used to that click. Once it's clicked into the gun, you can relocate your hand. But you should be able to know from two things. One is the sound and one is the feel. And you're going to feel it through your hand as it clicks in, and you're also going to feel it through your face and the vibration in the gun. Now you might not think that's possible, but it is. And once you start doing it a few times and you think, yeah, that sounds right, it feels right, then you'll know. And occasionally you may come up, the magazine might be slightly off, or the gun might be slightly off, and it doesn't click in, and you don't hear it click in, and then you go, oh, and you never want to be in that position on the stage. So that's something that you can learn and practice. You can consciously say to yourself, okay, bang, 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 bang. Yeah. Now it's very obvious here with the sound of it. Might not be so obvious when the gun's going bang and there's other people going bang on different stages. So that's the basics of what kit to have, how to set it up, and how to do the stationary reload. You need to understand the principles of it. You need to understand why you press the mag release before you remove the left hand. What does the left hand do? What does the right hand have to do? What are the 4 points of contact on the gun? Why everything else should stay stationary. Okay, when you're doing a stationary load, everything else stays stationary, just your left hand moves. Now in the next video we'll talk about ways to practice that, drills to practice individual parts of it, ways to practice the whole of it, and then in future videos we'll go on to talk about reloading and moving, reloading around obstacles, live fire drills, and how to get better at the whole thing. But to start with, you need to have really good fundamentals, really good basics, understand why you're doing stuff, and then do that really well. Click and subscribe. Thank you very much. Why do people do the washing?